Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Everton Daily Live. I don't know whether to start by hammering Jacob or should we wait?
Aren't we hammering James today?
James is getting.
Aren't we hammering? Isn't it a James hammer?
James just refuses to put videos
Just
out.
refuses to put videos
But
out.
that's fine.
Costing money
views.
and, costing views and
wait till
money.
John Blay watches this. I'll get a message.
That's if John Blaine can watch this. Who knows if it's even going out?
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Everton continue to be linked with defensive players.
Oh yeah, this was in last night's news. Oh no, it never went out.
Is if you're looking at Everton's, because obviously, listen, there's no football now for a few weeks, so we're going to look at different things, of course, over the next couple of weeks. But when you look at Everton's squad, because you start thinking about the summer recruitment and everything, is defensive areas of the team at the foremost of your thoughts? Because obviously we've said all season we need better fullbacks, like more attacking fullbacks and stuff. Seem to be getting linked with lots of centre backs though, rather than loads of fullbacks. So I mean, is centre back a position you're worried about?
I'm not worried about it. No, just I suppose the Senesi one is because he's left-sided and he's free. But it's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird one. And Ben White, obviously, has he got that kind of right back in mind, like a big right back? Is that what he wants? Saying yesterday when we were doing the show, I was like, that's not what we want, or we've sort of envisaged, is it? That's what we've, I think, as a pretty much as a fan base, we're envisaging a Seamus Coleman kind of
type,
rather than a modern fullback, where Moyes seems to be envisaging a Jake O'Brien, but with a little bit more legs to him, and a little bit more going forward.
And I think that's key in what you've just said. Not key that's what we should be doing, but he has like someone like Ben White has only got a little bit more going forward. It's not like he's a tremendous attacking right back, and you go, I get it, isn't it? It's a slight upgrade, very slight on Jake at right back.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
not for me.
It's not for me. But I suppose Moyes, you look at it and go, well, hasn't done us too much harm this season, and you know, having that extra physical presence and of set pieces and in both boxes, you'll probably go, well, it hasn't done us too much harm. That's what we're looking for. But
I think away, it's been fine.
Yeah,
I think it's been fine. I think at home, I feel like Everton have looked a lot better. Bar Saturday, they were excellent Saturday. Yeah. We have to say that we had Jake O'Brien and we had Michalenko Saturday, so it was excellent. But that was because they're more of an offensive team, so we were able to play on the counter a little bit. But I think the games at home where teams have come and sort of sat a little bit, not having though. Our best performances have come rather when James Garner's been at right back. We've looked a lot better going forward, or even when Patterson was there, because he's just a natural right back. So Ben White, I do think Ben White's a good player, don't get me wrong, and he wouldn't be playing for Arsenal if he wasn't a good player, but
I don't think Ben White suits Everton one.
No, I don't think not where we are now.
I don't even think his off the field stuff suits Everton. Like saying that he doesn't like football and stuff like that. I don't think it lasts 5 minutes.
Do you think when David Moyes, I mean, listen, these are only links, aren't they? But, you know, there's no sort of thing that Moyes is number one target and all that stuff. So do you think David Moyes would look at those kind of things like you just said there and think, because he's all about character, isn't he, Moyes? You know, he does a lot of digging on the player's character.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think someone who isn't fully into Everton and wants to immerse themselves in that, I just think Moyes would step away from that kind of player.
Yeah. The England stuff, again, is interesting. I know he's been recalled. From England for 3 years because you didn't like what a coach said to you. Really? Is that like I've said this a million times, I totally understand like mental health and all this is a big thing, but I just think footballers have to have like an innate like something in them. Like I've always, you know, like when people were saying, oh, you know, the crowd and stuff, it can't be good for the players. if the atmosphere's not great and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, go to an away game where you're being destroyed by the fans. If you can't, like, if you're not, you know, again, it's hard to put this into the right words, but having that mental strength, like someone like Ronaldo, like, and I know he's like the ultimate when it comes to like mental strength, but having that mental strength to be able to walk on any football pitch and just block it all out and block all the noise out and not being worried what people think about you, that is what pushes people to the top. And I feel like someone like Ben White hasn't made the grade fully at Arsenal when Arsenal at the best, is because he can't do that. And I don't look at it and go, well, we're not an Arsenal, we're not in those positions. But if you want to get to those positions, you're going to need players to drive you forward, aren't you? I was seeing a little bit of the clip before of Phil Neville on the Tim Howard and Landon Donovan podcast, and, you know, they're just talking and stuff about different things that happened at Everton. But I thought, there's a fella who come into our club with the absolute right attitude of like, I understand what it takes, like whether you liked him as a player or you didn't like him, mentally, and like the attitude was switched on from day one to push all the other players, you know, and drive that like have that professional mindset that you need. And I just look at someone like Ben White and I'm not sure he's got it, and I just think that's where Moyes looks at players and go, that's exactly what I like. You know, whether people like Moyes, don't like Moyes, what Moyes has always had is that ability to push people. And, you know, I think that's why he failed at Man United, because I don't think he took it with him. I don't think he took that with him at Man United. I think he was overawed. I think he thought he had to take a step back from what the man he was at Everton in the first place. But you can see that with him now. He doesn't. He requires a certain level, a certain standard. And I think that's why, you know, some of the kids are on the bench, is that they're not providing that. I just think, you know, and credit to Dwight McNeil for maybe realising that in the last month of like where he needs to be. There's nowhere, you know, you can't. It's not about like, it's about just standing up and going, I have to have a certain type of mentality. That's what it comes down to. I look at Ben White and think, you didn't play for England for 3 years because a coach spoke to you in a certain way. Like, grow up.
Well, he might have just, because he's not
but
really...
he's missed 3 years.
No, but
that's
what
mad,
I mean
isn't
is,
he?
if he's not that bothered, because...
Yeah, that's what worries me.
If he's not that bothered and just treats it as a job, which is fine, he's good at it, but him missing time for England won't concern him, will it? So he might just go, I don't need this. So you spoke to me like that, and I don't need this. And that's why he's been there. But that isn't the type, that doesn't seem to be the character that David
I don't want that kind of mentality. I want a mentality of,
I'm not saying he is like that, I'm just saying.
No. But if that's his mentality, and that's why he's not got any better at Arsenal, then I don't want him at our club. You know, I'm just putting that out there as like any footballer. There's like, you look at like Dewsbury Hall, look at him. He's come from Chelsea. He was a world champion. Fisher-Price world champion. And he's come in with like, look at that mental attitude of like whether he just says it, he's looking at going, actually, these are a bigger club than Chelsea. These are a bigger club. Like that seems almost like whether it's a mentality that's just drove him forward. But that mentality is, okay, I've come to a club that aren't, but let's get them there then. Let's get them there. I think Jack Grealish had a bit of that as well. Let's get Everton back then to where they want to be. Like, that's the mentality you need, isn't it? Especially when if you're a club fighting to get into those places, you almost have to double down on that mentality of like, well, come on then, let's get us. I'll drive you forward. And I think they're the kind of players, you know, I want to sign for us. The players who are like, let's roll up our sleeves. This could be massive. Let's make it massive.
Well, I think that's what Moyes is being. Whatever people say about David Moyes, when they talk about his limitations or whatever, or maybe not limitations as such, but as talk about things they might not like about him. The one thing he's massive on is that character. Yeah, is that will to win. That one who will do 100, you know, give it 100% and want to improve. He doesn't really do players that. You know, we know that the story of Milenkovic, who's done well for Forest, but he's playing for Forest at the bottom of the league. had a deal with West Ham, and Moyes said, "Oh, you're excited to come?" And he said, "Yeah, I just want to use it as a stepping stone to the Champions League."
Yeah, it's not what you want to hear, is it?
Yeah, put the phone down.
Yeah.
Said to the West Ham, pull the plug, and they'd done all. The whole deal was done.
We changed it somewhat this yesterday. Or was it me and Mike? I can't remember. But we were somewhat like the players who come out and say, "I won Champions League." It's like, yeah, that's what I want to be. I won Champions League. As long as they're not saying I won Champions League and I'm going to go somewhere else to get it. But when a player says I won Champions League, that's the mentality I want to hear. Go with them. You know, Everton had 2 seasons to do that with Lukaku and just stood back and went, "Nice one, lad, get us there then." Instead of going, "We'll provide you with players to get us there." It's like, that's the mentality you want from your players, isn't it? We want... Richarlison, people laughed at Richarlison when he said, "I want to be Brazil's number 9 and I want to play Champions League." And then it was like, "Oh no." And it was like, but he was like, no, I won't do this for Everton. And he got Brazil number 9 when he played for Everton, and he just couldn't quite get Champions League. Well, obviously not just quite, but quite a long way. But like, he ended up getting Champions League with Spurs, but he got hard. I think playing for Brazil, Brazil's number 9 in a World Cup, I think people seen that more of a stretch, you know. But he got there. He got there eventually, obviously. But like, you know, you want players you've got. You need that extra, because I think when people like Arsenal or Manchester City buy those players, they're already buying that level of player, aren't they? They're already buying that. They know what they're getting most of the time when they buy those players. We're not, so we need players to dream big and believe. And when I hear stuff like that about players, I just, you know, whether we as fans believe international football is all that. Professional footballers believe, you know, it's the highest accolade they can get most of the time. So to have that and lose out on 2 tournaments, you know, the World Cup and the Euros, I mean, imagine like just going, "I don't want to play in the World Cup or the Euros because I had an argument with a coach."
We don't know what was said, do we? And if he feels like he couldn't, then fair enough. But for us, Moyes wants.
I'd like to think Jacob gets more stick in this room than he did.
You'd
Of
like
that
to
coach.
think, but there's no guarantee. But I think for us, yeah, it doesn't seem like the. And even regardless of that, I just think what I want is a better right back than Ben White.
Yeah, ultimately.
You know, he's a decent, don't get me wrong, like you said, he's a decent player. Decent centre-back as well, but I think we need what we're looking for Everton to go up levels. The gap needs to be better than what he is from Jake O'Brien, I think, personally. We'll have to wait and see whether David Moyes agrees with it. What do you think will happen with Michael Keane? Because he obviously signed an extra year. And I think he's probably played more than he thought he was going to play. You know, he was signed as the 4th centre-back. He's done very, very well this season. Do you think Everton will just extend it? And do you think he'd be happy to just... Because surely the plan is for Tiara to play, you know, be fit next season and play the whole season. And then obviously Jake O'Brien's trying to sort of wrestle his way in with Toffee. So what do you think Keane will just do another year, or do you think Michael Keane's proved he could still go and do a job as someone's first choice for the next year or so?
How many are we going to carry? You know, if we are being linked with centre-backs, and why are we being linked with centre-backs?
No, that's what I mean. I mean, Senesi, to me, he's free and he's younger than Keane. Okay, so we're going to get him.
29 in May, though, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's going to come in, and who's he getting in instead of? Tarkowski. Tarky plays every week. Is generally very good every week. But Jake O'Brien surely is natural replacement. So Branthwaite, the plan is, I know he's left-sided, but Jarrad Branthwaite's Everton's best defender. So, and I think David Moyes accepts that. Obviously, he's got to be able to play and all that. I just find it a weird one. I think, listen, anyone can link players to clubs. It doesn't sort of mean it's a real thing. But we have been linked with quite a few centre-backs, and I just look and think, I wonder what will happen with Michael Keane. Because if he's happy here, and especially if Everton get Europe, then there's going to be more games for him to play, surely, even if he is a sub. Do you know what I mean? And David Moyes knows he can rely on him when he needs him. But the idea would be, obviously, Jarrad Branthwaite, like we said, to play most of the games, because that's what he wants. And then you've got you'd have the three he's got now. I mean, it's not like defensively we're going, Everton have to get much better. They've got the third best defence in the league. So
I suppose there's two things you could say, isn't there? It's like, if we were to get another centre-back and he might keep Michael Keane, does he look at Jake O'Brien then as a right-back?
I don't think he does.
No, but that's the way you can look at it. And then the other one is, I mean, James was talking about this, it's like, does that mean that they're looking at it and going, actually, we might accept a high offer for Jared Brandtwaite?
I don't think anyone will come in for Jared Brandtwaite this summer. I think there'd be anyone.
That's the other side of it though, isn't it? It's like,
why would you... Everton will want 75 million plus for a player that might end up starting 10 games this season. I just don't see anyone doing it.
That's the other one though, isn't it? That's the other way you look at it, going, we've coped all right without him. I mean, we can... But if you want to go to the next level, you need next level players, and that's what he is. And if you can manage him and get a full season out of him, and I think that's what it might have to be next season, is actually managing him again, not every game.
Yeah,
you know, knowing when to put him in him, knowing when to put him out for a season, just for a game, for his body to almost just readjust into making sure that he's not, he's not getting to that level where he's going to break down, and that might, and then his body might settle down. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, they're only links, aren't they? At the end of the day, and it might just be one or the other, and it might be people. Ben White's still got 2 years left on a contract, so you're talking 25 million, aren't you? So why would you want to pay 25 million for a lad who can? Yes, he can play right back, but not overall by him at all.
He's 28, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's 29.
29 October, I think.
Is he? So won't be paying that kind of money for a player at that age. Not a chance. But yeah, it's a whole thing. It's an interesting one, that's for sure. It costed the creator, James, says the link for Inside the Game isn't in the description. Just pointing it out to you. Alan Ball says, will our qualification in Europe be compromised by Roma? No. I believe it's all in hand with the club. The club are looking at the way you have to do it is a complex way, but there's sort of two options, and the owners will decide which option it is. But Everton did fill in or did start the relevant paperwork by March the 1st, and it is sort of in hand if both do qualify. So we just qualify for a different competition anyway. But yeah, the club are on top of that situation as it stands. So let's get in it. Let's do what we need to do. In terms of fullbacks, is there anyone you sort of got your eye on, or anyone you'd like Everton to bring in at right back, certainly? Because that looks like the Mikalenko stuff, obviously. His contract is up in June, but there's with a further option for a year. So it's a bit like James Garner in that respect of the club are calm about it because, they can trigger the option and he can't really go anywhere anyway unless someone buys him. But from a right back perspective, is there anyone out there you like the look of, or is it just literally a type that you want, someone who's...
yeah, it's more of a type, isn't it? I wouldn't say I've got my eye on anyone.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a type, yeah. I think it's just someone who can get up and down. I think it's someone, the kind of fullback, you watch teams this year play against us, and it's like the other week when we played Bournemouth, when, just watching them have, and Manchester United as well was similar. They ended up having like 5 attackers because the fullbacks were right up on the line with them and they're dominating the ball. So, and then, if it does break down, they can get back quite quick, and the midfielders are in there helping win the ball back, and they never get like overloaded too often. And it's a game of, at times it is a game of risk, but it's a you know, it's a game of risk worth taking because if you've got your team set up right, and that's what I want to see. I want to see our fullbacks high, but have got the ability to get back as well, rather than standing next to the centre backs and just having four at the back. I think they need to be higher up. They need to be pushing on, and that's what I'd love to see us do. And all it is just a slight. It's not too much of a change in the way you play as such. It's a change of the players. The players can get up and down the pitch. They understand. They understand where they need to be at all times, and they've got the ability. So, for me, that's what I'd like to see. I think that's, that would mean that the wide men as such can tuck in a little bit more, and then you've got a proper front three. Then and again, I think that's what Man United did really well when we played against them, because I think they were the best example of late. Those fullbacks going high, then you've got a proper front three really close. And then they had Fernandes behind them, and then it was like they had 6 attackers at all, 6, 7 attackers at all time, and that's the way I'd love to see us play.
Yeah, it changes it, doesn't it? Changes the whole team. You've got like Doué at Strasbourg, who's linked with Everton, wasn't he? But he's a good player. I know Everton were linked heavily with Norton Toffee, and Doué is one that you look at and think he'd be excellent. You could get him. But Norton Toffee seems more like Moyes' type of fullback. Like he's bigger physically. Obviously, he was at Arsenal, I think, wasn't he, as a winger, but is now a right back. So he'll be one, I imagine, that Everton are very, very much looking at. But that sort of tip. But yeah, definitely Doué. I know they like Try Hume, but Sunderland getting relegated. So yeah. Just to buy him, you're talking big money, and we ain't going to be spending big money. I don't think you wouldn't be spending sort of 40 million on Try Hume, would you? If you could get Norton Toffee for 20 million or 25 million, you're just not going to do it, because it means you get probably both fullbacks for 45 million rather than just getting one. So, unless they went and got that Wesley from Roma, who, remember, we were going to buy him and loan him to Roma and all that. He's had a good season. Yeah. Obviously, he was good at Hill Dickinson, actually, in the game he played earlier, the friendly. He looked quite lively in that, but he's had a good season for Roma. I just don't see. I know a lot of people want that link between the two, but I just don't see it. Yeah. I don't see it happening.
No.
If we were going to have a link with Roma, go and get Manu Kone for our midfield. But, yeah, I mean, I do think... I think you need, obviously, the days of little fullbacks are gone. Unless you get one who's lightning, good on the ball and lightning. I think you can get away with it there. But if they haven't got that blister and pace, then it has gone to a more sort of physical type of fullback. But I always think you need football as a fullback.
Yeah,
Man City have got like Nunes, who's a midfield player, and Nico O'Reilly, who's a 10. So at the moment, they're 2 fullbacks.
I don't think it's that hard to play fullback. It's not this like myth. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's not to take away from the plays we've had, but what I mean is that's good. Good midfielders can easily play fullback. It's not like this mad position where it's like it's mythical to play there, and you have to. It's like if you're a good footballer, you should be able to play fullback. Everything's in front of you, and especially if you've got a good touch, and that's why I think James Garner makes it look so easy when he plays. So it's become a footballing position rather than a defensive position. So, and that's ultimately what we need. Now, if that player is big and strong and physical, then that'll help in the league at the moment, because that's what the league is, isn't it? So, but I think you have to be a bit more technical, and I think that's what lets our fullbacks down at the moment, is that they're just not that good technical. Jake, don't get me wrong, Jake's not too bad, but I think he gets caught in it sometimes where he's like, and he'll go backwards.
Yeah, but Jared's such a good footballer, but when he plays fullback, it's a different skill set. Yeah. He's not such a good footballer that he's taking players on down the line and whipping crosses in. Same with Jake. He's good on the ball, Jake, but he's good on the ball as a centre back. He's not good on the ball as a fullback. He always looks scared to take the personal. It's safety first there because he's not fully comfortable because it's not his position. Where Patterson looks really comfortable playing it because it's his position. Whereas if Pato was centre back, he'd probably be all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just the natural position, but that natural position of a fullback, we've seen players who were really good on the ball. I mean, you know, Liverpool had Trent, who was incredible on the ball. He was an absolute terrible defender, but he was fantastic on the ball. And they've even had Soboslai, who's probably their best player. He's played right back
Frimpong's
for a
been
lot.
playing theirs, and he's not a right back.
Only just come back when he's a right winger, isn't he? And he's a fast one. But you look at United, and they've had Dalot, who's very good on the ball. You know, Chelsea, when he's fit, Reece James, really good on the ball, isn't he? I know they've pushed him into midfield now, but a lot of these teams want lads who are, you know, linked with Livramento, weren't we? He's good on the ball. So that's what it is now. It's that the wingers basically a fullback. That's, or, you know, what wingers light, aren't they? Not quite wingers, but they're good enough to play little 1-2s, or they're good enough to have a trick and put crosses in or whatever. And we're just not getting that. Mikalenko's got better at it as the season's gone on, don't get me wrong. It's improved a bit, but it's improved for Nico.
Well, like, Trent Alexander-Arnold, like, when he played under Klopp, the team was actually built round Trent, and to the point where Klopp couldn't care less if he defended or not.
Yeah.
Like, he used to say that all the time. He said, like, you know, for what he delivered and the balls he could play to the likes of Salah and crossfield passes and moving through into that midfield space as a centre midfielder coming from right back. The team was built around him as a right back because he was so good, and that shows you how important the position is, because you can move. We've seen James Garner do this. You can move into areas of the pitch without no one follows you. The wingers, it's an interesting position because the wingers aren't typically going to follow you defensively, especially if you move central, and then the centre midfielders don't know whether to pick you up at. So it was a really clever thing by Klopp, understanding that his ability to play football is so good, and he didn't. I don't think he had that last year, and he's certainly not getting that at Real Madrid. But it shows you that how, you know, I think that helped Philip Lahm as well, going when he moved from fullback to centre midfield as well.
Yeah.
Just that general ability to, it's almost wasted at fullback at times, but you can do it at fullback, and you know, Baines was brilliant at it because he had Pienaar there to bounce off. So if you can get the right player there, and it's a technical footballer, then it's such a sort of underused position to get you going.
I think it changes the team. I think it will change the team. Said a lot. I like Malik Chief at West Ham. I thought we should have got him last year, but you know, maybe there was question marks over him, and maybe there still are where West Ham are. But he's very good going the other way. Great engine, great delivery into the box, up and down all day. That's a big improvement on Mikalenko from an attacking perspective. You probably lose Miko's defending 1v1, but then if Mikalenko's in the squad, he can be used for certain games that need a more cautious approach, because he is very good at. But at least even having two who are an option, they battle, don't they? And if one falls out of form, the other one's in, and the other one doesn't. The other one's got a battle. Whereas at the moment, there's no one. Aston, who's not a viable option.
No, just physically, he's not there, is he?
So David Moyes might put him out on loan next season, but to get games and stuff and build himself up physically and just get used to playing every week. Can your body take playing every single week, training when you're called upon, ready to come back? So we might have to see Adam Anthony the year after. He might not. If we get into Europe, he might think there's enough games for me to play him, train him with us, get him in the cup, Carabao Cup, play him in Europe, whatever. But that's an interesting one to see what we do. Like you say, they're obviously gonna. Feels like they're obviously gonna trigger that option with Mikalenko.
Yeah, you imagine so.
Blue Jay says, like, afternoon lads, any thoughts on the rumours that Everton and Forest are looking into legal action against the Premier League following the Chelsea farce?
nonsense, isn't it?
I mean, Forest Makers,
Let's be honest, it's nonsense.
They're not going to do anything, give us anything.
It's noise. We are asking the question, aren't we? We are putting it out there. We're putting it out there. What's going on? We want answers. There's not going to be any legal stuff. What a waste of time.
Nothing can be done, really. The only thing that could happen is Everton are given the points back. No, it's not going to make any difference. But what I mean is, the only thing I can see that they could do, and I don't see this happening, but the only thing that they could do is add the extra points back onto Everton. So that gives Everton 56 points, say. And then where would that have finished? And that means a monetary thing back to Everton. But I don't see that.
Did Chelsea go through the same process as us? As in, because when it happened to us, there's so much noise and attention about independent panels and all this stuff and hotel rooms and Silky and all this stuff. Did Chelsea go through it? Because it doesn't feel like Chelsea went through any of that.
No, all Chelsea did was say, we've just come in and we've opened that drawer there, and that drawer showed that for 20 years they paid people out of 8 different accounts and won all sorts of trophies and spent money they didn't have. But that's got nothing to do with us, Guff, so...
But it doesn't feel... What I mean by it is, though, this just feels like... And I don't know, that's why I'm asking the question. This just feels like something that was handed down by the Premier League rather than going through the independent process that we went through, and the Premier League went, nothing to do with us, Gov. And they just this. I've not heard anything. So please tell me if I'm.
Well, it was supposed to be under investigation, but that was 2 years ago when Chelsea owned up to it. Why has it took 2 years? We were dragged before.
That's what I mean.
This panel immediately,
I mean.
and we had points taken off us for 3 months.
It feels like ours was a drawn out thing with the journalists knew what was coming and what and all this, and the Chelsea one just feels like it was all shush 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 shush, and then the verdict came out and that was the end of it. And I'm glad Everton have made noise about it, and I'm glad they've spoken out, and I'm glad they want the Premier League to basically say they want the Premier League to tell them how they come to this process. But I don't think there's going to be any legal action. I don't think that's what Everton are actually looking to do. I think Everton are looking to just get the process out in the open and get an explanation of how this came about and how ours came about. And then based off that, then Everton might make a decision on how they vote, let's say, or whatever. All the stuff they walk into a room with when they go to these Premier League meetings. Maybe that's where that comes into it. But I can't imagine anyone suing anybody, because what does it ultimately get you? It's And what if you lose? You lose a lot of money. So I just can't see it.
I don't see it because I don't see them owning up to. Well, what could they? The only thing he could do is give Everton the money back,
which is not going to happen
because their masters would be admitting they've done something wrong.
But I think finding out how they came to the decision and how it differs from Everton is important, because I think that will frame how a lot of people start making decisions. Like we said the other day, it's like, I'd be rubbing my hands if I was Newcastle or someone like that now, or whoever. I'd be sitting there going, oh, so we can basically do what we want now. Oh, okay. We get a fine. Sound? Whereas the last couple of years, as we've known, clubs seem to have been very risk averse to buy players, and they knew they've had to sell players, and because they didn't want, PSR and problems. So a lot of them be like, oh, a fine will do me. We'll pay a fine, but no sporting sanctions, boss. Mad.
I don't know. Blue Jay also says on the signings front, priority must be strikers, fullbacks, pace up front. DP says, if these Ben White rumours are true, what are your thoughts on it? I'd be disappointed personally, because he's not a right back. He's a centre back who can play right back. So there's not going to be much of a difference to what it's like now with O'Brien, apart from being 4 years older. Doesn't solve the issue in the slightest. I'd be baffled if we didn't go and sign a modern out right back as well as a left back. it's so blatant for anyone to see they're the two weakest positions by far. Yeah. Stuart says, afternoon, I understand the reasoning for fullbacks. We potentially need 4 in total. But also, I'd like to hear there's more focus on final third recruitment. Scoring and creating has been a struggle for most of the season. It'd be good to see more links here. I'd like to think it's happening behind the scenes, but a new centre-back can't be a priority. No, I doubt it's a priority. I doubt it's a priority. I mean, I don't know higher up the pitch what they definitely want a striker. Not that much. They definitely want a striker. I imagine Jack Grealish will stay. I don't know what'll happen with Tyreek George. He's not playing. Why would he come here? And if he's not playing, why would the owners sanction money for someone who's not going to play?
Yeah.
You've got that with Tyler Dibblin.
Yeah.
So, don't know what's happening with, what'll happen with that. Yeah. But a centre forward, I imagine, will definitely be brought in.
Yeah. And do we want names spread all over the media in March? No, I don't. Keep it as quiet as possible and go and
get it done quickly if you can, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's Be Avenue says, all right, lads, see the club have now said something about the Chelsea so-called punishment. The only thing we will get out of it is compensation from whatever the settlement with Burnley was on lawyers' costs.
I don't think we'll get anything. I think they'll be looked upon as two different things. And I've just seen a comment there on YouTube going, you've got as in, hang on, let me see if I can find it. Phil saying you need to look at the bigger picture. Aside from Forest, the slice 6 teams would look to sue them too for lost revenue trophies. Well, the question is then, why aren't they suing them then? Because surely what Chelsea has done is won trophies that other teams would have won, and no one else is suing them. So that's the question. No one else. Everton are bothered, obviously, because Everton have been dished out the worst punishment literally ever, haven't they, in English football? So, but none of those the clubs that it actually did affect for Chelsea, no one's saying a word, because actually they're looking at going. I think all those clubs are looking at going. Number one, I don't want them to look under our rocks, and number two, this could benefit them. So they're all staying nice and quiet about this. Nice and quiet. They could. They. I'm sure if you look back at when all this happened, I'm sure you could go, hang on, we would have won the league. We could have won the league that year if they hadn't bought that player who scored that many goals. Everton are obviously making noise because they're like, hang on, we built a stadium. You won trophies. You actually altered the framework of football. We just built a stadium to play football in. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a case of a lot of clubs will probably just look and go, what's been's been. It's happened. We've all moved on. It's been done. You might not be happy about it, but it's been done. I think the reason why Everton and Forest is different is that the way we were treated, and we had points taken off us like recently, and we were dragged. Our name was dragged through the mud. People called us cheats for building a stadium. There was this nonsense. And I try to address this on the overlap a few times with people. You having a go at Everton for something that isn't real. Going on about they've just done this and they broke the rules and all that. They were building a stadium, which is why they broke the rules. They only broke the rules by 19.5 million. And even that was in question because the way they could have done it would have come down to about 6 million, filling in a form differently and things like that. So it was utter nonsense what the Premier League did. And don't forget, the Premier League wanted 12 points taken. He wanted the maximum for what we did, while knowing what Chelsea had done and looking the other way. So, but I honestly don't see anything happening with it, really.
The pie says, Baz, would you take Isaac on loan? Serious question. Isaac on loan. Yeah, I would, but he's not coming on loan, is he? Liverpool aren't letting him out, A, to us, and B, on loan. So, he's a good player. I don't think he's as good as they think he is, but he is a good player. He is a good player. But we need to build our own, don't we? We want to build our own striker. You know, we've got Tierney Barry. He needs to keep improving. And whoever else replaces Beto in the summer is going to have to be someone who comes in who can play and who can be a real threat and make Barry have to improve. And then if Barry doesn't improve next year, Everton will move him on, won't they? So that's what you have to do. You have to get a player who is going to, you can sort of rely on and go, he's going to do well. If we're building the team with him in mind. That's what we have to do. It's easier said than done sometimes, but that's what you have to do. Cash said, I think he meant Isaac Price. No, I wouldn't take Isaac Price on loan, no. No, leave him where he is. Doing well at West Brom, isn't he?
Is he?
He's all right. He's been okay. Started really
in the bottom three.
But he's not single-handed, is he? There's another 10 players at West Brom.
Isn't he?
Let's be having, he says the only thing with Ben White is his homesick admission. Would he settle? Well, he went to Leeds for a year, didn't he? Dan W says that's why we should bite City's hand off at Grealish for 20 million. He's elite with an elite mentality. I think we will. I think we'll pay around 20 million for Grealish. I think he'll take half wages or something because he's desperate to get here. And I think we'll sign him for 3 years or something.
Another loan.
But 2+1 won't be a loan, no, will it? Because Villa are ready to buy him, aren't they? But I think he wants to come here. Oh. Jezebel says, surely anyone like Ben White is simply to ensure we have more squad depth and as a contingency. But yeah, his sunbed thing is hilarious.
Is he a contingency?
I'm not really bothered about his sunbed. But we can't spend 25 million quid on a contingency, can we? When you can get players who are out of contract to do the same job. So David Savage says, would you not say White is an improvement on Keane, who's played a lot?
Is he? I don't know.
But he doesn't really play centre-back now, does he? Arsenal shifted him out to fullback for the last couple of years.
I was Googling it then. He's played 21 times in all competitions. 15 have been right back and 6 have been at centre-half. Yeah. And the centre-half ones are all in like the cup competitions against like the lower league teams.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really play.
I think they look at him as a right back, don't they, now, Arsenal? Because he's got Saliba and Gabriel who are brilliant. But Hincapie's a bloody centre-back playing full-back. Calafiori can do both, I accept that. Julian Timbers a centre-back playing right-back. So that's the way. But the thing is, they're all good footballers with the ball. So Dan W says, speaking of full-backs, Everton should look at duo Latin Mahi from Norzealand. Excuse me. He's Finnish, quick and can cross. In general, Everton should look at Superliga. It's such an undervalued league. But I don't think Moyes would play them. So he's going to want a certain level that he can rely on to get results, isn't he? So Jay Radcliffe says, give Keane another year, concentrate on them wing-backs. White isn't the profile. Jed Spence, Chief, Bueno, Alvaro, Moreira, Lewis, Skelly, to name but a few. Let's see what they come up with, mate. David Eo says, ours was PSR, theirs is something else like City. Why dealt with differently? Breaking rules. In fact, theirs is much worse because they broke rules to win trophies.
They have had a sporting advantage.
Yeah, that was what it was, 100% sporting advantage what they did. Ours was building a stadium. Jay Radcliffe says we shouldn't be kicking the hornet's nest by suing the Premier League. We're on the up now. Luckily, we survived the points deduction. I'd probably have a different opinion. But yeah. Sly Sports today reporting Njai is a high target for Man United.
Make him as high as you want.
I believe he is. But then he better come with deep pockets, hadn't he? That's as simple as that.
Everton don't sell cheap.
No. Not
Never
a player who they want. So you're talking that they're going to come and pay 60, 70 million. We'll see, won't we? Control, alt, defeat. Love it. Says, sorry if it's been said, just join the stream. 3 wins gets us conference. 4 wins gets us Europa. 5 wins gets us the Champions League. That's probably right.
What the 6
wins, yeah.
Lucky bag.
A bit higher in the Champions League. Yeah, you're probably right with that. So let's go and do it. Let's get at least the 3 that sort of gets us the conference. So we know we've got that. Taking that home with you. It's safe. Dylan says, White's comfortably better than anything. We have a fullback, good footballer, gone under the radar. It'd be like signing Gareth Barry. No, I wouldn't. He hasn't gone under my radar. He's decent, but there's better fullbacks there, mate. Personally, that's my opinion. The Pie says the only people who called Everton PSR cheats with a bitter shite. They can't handle the fact that the best football stadium in the country is on the banks of the Royal Mersey. The Pie says, yeah, Ben White is a no-go for me. Liam says, just been sold off the Players' Awards being held on the yard at the end of the season. Can't wait, should be a good night. Yeah. Paul Bristow says, Ben White, no thanks. And Nadushka says, I say keep bet on by the lap. 3 strikers, very close and skilled to push each other a lot. Ian says, Salah on a free. Maybe. Yeah. John Wharton says, will Barry even be here next season? Yeah. I think he will. He's got to get better, hasn't he? Signed a 5-year deal or something, or a 4-year deal. So, yeah, he'll be here. He's got to score goals. He's got to get better as a player. That's the challenge for everybody, isn't it? Going into the summer. You know, if we get Europe and the manager wants Everton to keep progressing, and the players have to keep stepping up. We've seen what James Garner's done since the manager came in, and certainly from the start of the season. He's been tremendous. Dewsbury Hall's come in and with the bit between his teeth and being excellent. Jack Grealish has come from City and being excellent. So that's what it's about. It's about them players stepping up again. Jamie Abbott says 2 points. Are Burnley not arguing that the points deduction should have been the season before but wasn't due to delays in the process? So that kept us up. Or we should fight to get the points back and make Burnley's points irrelevant. I don't know what Burnley are going on about. It was all because the whole thing was nonsense in the first place. Burnley, to me, are arguing about a point that was illegal anyway, in my eyes. Because now it's been rewritten into the rules that you can build a stadium and spend all that money and lose loads of money. It doesn't matter. So we would be the only team punished for building a stadium. What a surprise. So it's all bollocks as far as I'm concerned. And Burnley, well, they're back where they belong, aren't they, with that kind of behaviour? And that's it. The championship, they're done. Because it's nonsense. What they're going on about is utter bollocks, isn't it? I kind of said it a few years ago, and I'll say it again. I've never once seen a stadium rise at the far post and let the winner in. See you later. Okay. There you go. Missed a great point what I was saying there. Is nonsense, and letting Chelsea, which is evidenced by winning 2 Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and FA Cup. I mean, we lost an FA Cup final to a team that was paying people from 15 different places. Yeah. And we lost a League Cup semi-final to a team doing that. And they cost us points in that season that we finished 5th. We would have got 4th. If cost us points in other seasons when we might have done even more. Yeah. By a team that was cheating.
They won't be though fair. Well, Manchester City they were paying Mancini out of different accounts and stuff, weren't they? So
which is what's been levelled at them, and they beat us in a FA Cup quarter final, a League Cup semi final, and beat us
That's why none of the other clubs want anyone looking at going into their things.
Because they've all been party to this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why they'll all probably just go, move on. Just don't forget, the Premier League is all the clubs. It's not this extra entity. It's all the clubs.
Yeah.
And it's just guided by the puppet master. Or, well, he's not the puppet master, but he's the fella that's still in the job. Masters who's overseen all of this and allowed it to continue. So, but it's good that Everton have at least asked the question, because it's raised awareness. Nothing will come of it, I don't think. But at least Everton have raised awareness. And Forrest are always going to do, because Maranakis got a cop on with everybody, hasn't he? He's always looking for stuff like that. So if it's out there, at least it puts heat on the Premier League to come out and explain why whatever happened.
His bills must be really itchy, mustn't he?
Why?
You know why. You know why. That must be a cess.
Let's move on.
That must be a cesspit, that.
Let's move on. I don't even want to think about it. I mean, why you...
What do you think, James?
I don't know what you mean.
No.
You've seen Maranakis, haven't you?
Yeah.
He's a big fella.
He's a big fella.
His bills must be like...
Tim Dawson, let's move on, says, I know we have limited resources. By the time we have a centre-forward position and Jack signed, I don't think we'll have a lot left. I don't think we have got limited resources.
People say this all the time.
I think we've got more resources than we've had for a number of years.
All the time, and I'm like, did you not see we were bought by multi-billionaire?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, we're not like, it's not Bank of Saudi or Qatar. But I always hear this and I'm like, why have we got limited resources?
I heard this last summer though, and we spent 100 million.
I just find it mad that when people say that.
It is weird. It's the uplift again from this would be the first season with that, where the uplift is huge.
Moyes and a couple, it was last season, a couple, people put it out there a little bit from the club going, we're not going to go mental. We've got a couple of little hangovers that we've got from the last fellas, and we have to just be careful. But this idea of like, when people, I just don't understand it. I've never understood. Like, I think we're all right. I think people still don't sort of understand how money works in football clubs with the way it is. I know how money works. To spend money, I mean, it's not real. It's not like, what I mean is, if you spend 150 million quid, you don't need to spend 150 million quid at that time. That can be 30 or 40 million. Yeah. Right? Newcastle can't spend big. Well, they have spent big, haven't they? They bought us 2 strikers for 130 million last season. The problem is, it's going to change anyway, because it's going to squad cost ratio. So it all changes. But PSR with Newcastle was they'd lost money, and then they were at their limits with their ground, their sponsors and everything. So what they were losing and what they were getting in, the buffer was quite small on what they could do. That's why they couldn't just spend 200 or 300 million. And plus, all of that Saudi stuff, they're the richest in the world. The Saudis aren't interested really anyway with it. They're interested up to a level, right? But that's by the by. It's where Villa are. Villa are at the top of where they can be for their ground, and their wage bill. Wage bill's huge at Newcastle and Villa, because that's how you're getting them players. But the differential in being able to lose money or being able to spend wasn't big enough for them to keep spending money. Everton have gone from a stadium where Gately seats were 19 million to a stadium where Gately seats are 60 million, as well as everything else. We've got a source sponsor.
And we've got a source sponsor. And we're higher up the league and all of that. So all of that money comes into cash. And you can break it down with amortisation and everything. The differential between the two is way bigger for us than a lot of other clubs. Very much like the top 6 budget. No, the greedy 6 budgets. Take Spurs out of it for now. But even theirs, the greedy 6 budgets are bigger than Everton's, because they bring in more money. But Newcastle and Villa are sort of hamstrung at the moment, hence why the pair of them. Newcastle were looking at a new ground, but I don't really think that the Saudis had a year ago to put it in and didn't bother with it, which tells you where that is. And I think Stavely was driving all of that, and she went a while ago. And Aston Villa are in the process of looking at things to try and increase their stadium so that their margins grow a bit. So that's why. Yeah. But there's definitely money available without a shadow. It's not like Ped said, it's not all of a sudden Everton can spend £300 million. It's not quite like that. But there's a lot more headroom than we've had for years. So, Danny says, see Liverpool putting ticket prices up. Throw out pricing local fans.
I think we should keep our powder dry on that one.
Ticket prices will go up everywhere. Everton's ticket prices will go up. It's the fact. It's a fact, isn't it? We don't like it, do we? But I think we just need to accept there's going to be increases. We want better players and we want more, all of that stuff. It will go up. Things will go up. Let's hope it doesn't, let's hope it doesn't go up too much, and let's hope it isn't a trend that continues every year. But I think our prices will go up this season. Mark Foster says Newcastle's PSR issue eased considerably from July the 1st. Everyone's do, because PSR isn't a thing on July the 1st. It comes down to income, and where Newcastle are, their income, there's not much room for growth. They're at the very top with sponsors, at the very top with the ground, and they still can't supply it. So that's why it's why they are looking at a new stand, looking at different things. It's why they argued about being able to put whoever they wanted on the front of the shirt and things like that. There's far more intelligent people than me have done this thing with the finances and where Everton are placed. When you take the greedy six to one side, all of the things that the likes of Kieran Maguire have done and Dan Plumley have done and others, Swiss Ramble and Pete John Blaine's done loads on this. Everton come out quite favourably with the rule change, with the squad cost ratio thing of what you can spend. So we've jumped up higher than what I thought we would do. Thought it'd take us a few years with differentials. But the other thing as well is it's how well you spend the money. No point having loads of money. United have proved that. United have spent absolute crazy money since they last won the league and have been terrible most seasons. Haven't they? Yeah. Arsenal have spent $1 billion, haven't they? 900 and something million. And they haven't won the league yet since Arteta coming. Now, they might win it this year, but that's nearly, teams have spent crazy money. Everton have spent money for a few years, didn't he? Not in the last 5, with second, third bottom in the net spend, aren't we? So we've got money back in, but having money to spend doesn't guarantee you doing it. You've got to buy the right players. I mean, you look at, you just want to, I know it's not never ever as binary as this, but we bought Andre Gomez. I liked Andre Gomez, but we bought Andre Gomez for 22 million, and we bought James Garner for 9 million. Who's we have more out of? Who's the better player? Who's the Gomez, a lovely footballer and all that, but I'm just talking about values. One was less than half price, the other one. So you can do that with players, can't you? And go, James Coleman's 60 grand, and yet we bought we bought Nathan Patterson for 12 million, who's been the better value. So it's value. I know it's slightly skewed because of the way transfer fees have gone, but having that money, it's all about how you spend it. So, and that's the next bit.
Should still be looking for bargains. Should still be looking 100%. For value.
100%. 100%. But yeah, listen. Let's see what happens. Going to be big summer, isn't it? Of course, but it's going to be 7 games to go. Just got to try and win as many of them as we can. That's no shit Sherlock stuff, but we have. That to me, that's just the aim. Know what I mean? It's just the aim now. Jim Lightfoot, last one, good way to spend, to end it. I'm on my way up from Birmingham a week on Saturday to go on a stadium tour. I'm so looking forward to seeing our new ground for the first time and hopefully get my fingers blue with one of those donuts. Why wouldn't you, Jim? Have a fantastic...
I had half of the Everton in the community one the other day.
Did you? What was it like?
It was nice.
Was it? Yeah.
I didn't buy it. But it was for the community.
Yeah, well,
for charity.
Charity.
I didn't get it for free either. My wife bought it. Yeah, it was nice.
What was in it? Chocolate in the middle of it?
Yeah,
was it? Yeah. What's in the normal one? Is there anything in the normal one? Anyone had one?
Cream.
Yeah, cream.
Yeah. Okay. So like a Krispy Kreme type one.
More expensive.
Yeah.
We're in a box of them.
Tom S says, I think everything we've gone through, relegation battles, protests, coach welcomes, etc., has really brought the fan base together. What do you think we'd be like if none of it happened? Be in League One or something, wouldn't we? But yeah. Stuart says, bloody help, I'm trying to eat me dinner. Lunch. The Maranachas comment wasn't needed.
Sorry. I was going to say. No, he must have the itchiest bills going.
Jay Ratcliffe says, last one,
as well.
just hope anyone we sign gets to play like you're another casualty of our transfer policy. Right, I'm going.
Probably a bit of blood in there as well, I'd imagine. Them bills. Big,
just leave it.
Big white undies as well.
End it off.